Hello, everyone. It's your boy Duncan. Just to let you know, I'm editing this at the moment, and due to reasons that will be revealed later, my audio is a bit fucked up at the start. So if you really can't stand it, because it is pretty awful, if you skip 7.5 minutes in, you probably won't miss much, and it'll be a lot better. But also, if you want to hear the whole thing, then just put up with it. It'll be fine. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Golden Talkies.
Another
Still
episode.
pending. Exactly. Episode 4.
Title pending, apparently, still. I think we should stick with it, man.
Yeah, what's it? Episode Quattro.
Episode 4.
What's 4 in Italian, Duncan?
Quattro?
Maybe. Let's go with that. Why did I ask you that question, Duncan?
I don't know.
Significant?
If you'd ask me, it's Quattro in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And une, deux, trois, quatre it's quatre in French.
Oh, I'm done. Oh, wait, no, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, I think you might have asked me that question, Jamie, because the film we're doing this week is Italian.
Yes. But produced by a Spaniard, which is where the issue is probably coming up there.
That's right. So last week for episode 3 we did 3 films. So does that mean we're doing 4 films this week?
No, it means we're doing 1 film because
that's right.
Easier.
Because it was a bit of a disaster last week.
According to
my
you,
opinion.
Very upset.
You seem to think it was a good episode, but I think it was.
I thought it was fine.
I just feel like we were both very tired because we did it late at night.
True.
It went up late because I had to power cut mid render and had to do it on my laptop instead of my PC. So it took 8 hours to render the episode.
Fair.
So it went up late. We were tired. I had an energy drink before doing it, so I was super hyper. We were trying to squeeze 3 films in, and we were talking about films that the two of us hadn't seen. I don't know, it just felt like a bit of a mess of an episode.
Very fair. But also
maybe people
we experimented with the format,
Exactly. We were pushing boundaries,
Mm-hmm. Can't get too
so someone's also drilling in like the room next to me, I think. Like obviously not in my house, but in the house next door. I can hear drilling. Can you hear it?
I can't hear it now.
Okay, good. So hopefully that's not a big thing. So where are you recording from, Jamie? Are you recording from your living room?
I'm recording from my bedroom.
Oh, why is that? Were we not meant to record an hour and a half ago, Jamie?
We're only supposed to record an hour ago.
An hour and a half, I think. Fine.
Okay, well, sorry.
5, Jamie, and it's now 6:40. Just so our viewers know, I'm going to bring them into our internal arguments.
Okay, well, there was nothing to do. So,
mommy and daddy are fighting, or daddy and daddy. I'm not going to be homophobic, cool. I guess.
But on the bright side, I think this room has slightly better audio quality than the living room.
Oh, really?
My mic might be slightly less echoey than usual. We'll see.
That'd be nice. The Discord calls going fine. Like you sound pretty good to me. I don't know. It might go up and down, but hopefully it's fine. And I guess that doesn't matter too much. Although I have noticed that I can hear you. Like I guess my headphones are very leaky because when I'm editing, I can hear you on my one as well. It doesn't really matter because I just line them up.
Oh yeah, I do sometimes hear that.
Yeah, I guess if you start going crackly on this, it might fuck it up. But we'll see. I guess we're still experimenting,
Today we're talking about a delightful horror thriller film by the director Mario Bava, who it turns out is quite important and famous.
The master of Italian horror. Apparently.
And I did not know this before we watched it, so that was a fun surprise.
I've not seen it. You've not said the name of the film, Jamie.
Well, I was going to lead up to that. But,
okay.
Yeah, the film's called Hatchet for the Honeymoon.
Or
Honeymoon.
The Red Sign of Madness is the Italian name.
That's a cooler name.
It is a cooler name. I don't know why. So in Italy, it was released under that name, in Italian, obviously. And then in Spain, because as you said, it was a kind of co-production, it was released as Hatchet for the Honeymoon, in Spanish, obviously. And I guess when they released it in English, they went with that name and said, the Red Sign of Madness sounds cooler.
Yeah. I think there was like an outdated English release called like Bridal Blood or something.
Yes, yeah.
Something BB.
Let me find the bit how it is. Okay, so it was released... so it was MGM that released it in Italy and Spain. It was released in Italy on the 2nd of June. 1970, and Spain on 14th of September 1970, under the names we said before. And then it was released in the UK as Blood Brides in
That's
1973.
okay.
And then the US, I don't know what they released it as in the US initially, but it wasn't in the US until 1974. So we're kind of, we're kind of pushing the limits. Well, I guess
We're
the
going for the
initial
original
releases.
Italian release date.
That's true. That's true.
Right
It's
now we're keeping
interesting.
to earliest release dates, so that's sort of
Exactly.
consistent. Although we will break that rule by the end of this, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder why they pushed it to September in Spain.
I don't think they pushed it. I think it's just, if you look at like
Or not necessarily pushed
films
it, but...
released by this time, it just seems like it took way longer to localize things.
Oh, I bet it was dubbed as well into Spanish.
Oh yeah, well the version you and I watched was dubbed, obviously.
Dubbed into English, yeah. I thought that was done pretty well, actually.
Yeah, like there were a couple of times it was distracting, but I thought it contributed to the film a lot. Actually, I thought it made it feel very dreamy and disconnected, as it were.
Yeah,
can't quite touch it. There's a film.
Sometimes you see these dubs and they're really awful. Like I was watching a film last week. Fuck, what was it called? The Resistance Banker, which is a Dutch film. And I started watching it in English. I didn't even realize it was Dutch on Netflix, and the dub was like really poorly done. So I changed it to Dutch and just listened to it with subtitles on because I prefer that. I generally prefer that, unless the dub's like really good. I guess with an animation, like an animation for really good dub would be fine, but I find it
you'd be surprised. It's still
quite
kind of distracting.
No, but I'm saying like a good dub, like a well done one.
Yeah, no, even good dubs. It's surprising how weird it can seem. Yeah, because it's hard to say, but like you do notice that the lip flaps don't like match up quite as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. But
what I was going to say
I definitely
is that
prefer subs. But this one was pretty good overall, apart from a couple moments.
What I was going to say,
yeah,
was that there was a film released last year in Britain that, as you know, I'm very fond of, called Bait, and that was an English film, but it still used dubbing English voices in order to create that sort of disconnected effect. I got something similar out of this film. I thought it was very good.
You felt disconnected. Yeah, it was pretty good. So what should we jump back a bit to do the historical context?
Yeah,
since that's kind of become tradition to start with that, or would you rather?
No, go ahead.
Now that we're into the film. Okay, so once again, I'm using. Wow, that was a power cut.
Okay, we're back.
Historical context time.
Cut. What?
Historical context. Go.
Historical context. Well, okay, so I had a power cut. I think we need to address it, Jamie.
All right.
Because there might be a weird.
You'd use your magical editing skills to make it seamless, and then we could.
Yeah, but it's going to be the audio is going to be from my laptop, so it's going to be very poor quality, or there's a chance that we won't even use it. So if you have no idea what we're talking about, we've cut the start of it, and we're talking about
Hatchet for the Honeymoon.
Hatchet for the Honeymoon, which is an Italian-Spanish co-production.
By Mario
Bava. That's about all we said in the first 7 minutes of the recording. Hopefully I don't have another power cut this time. So, historical context. It was okay. So I was using takemeback.to. That's where I got to. So that's a joke that keeps on giving. Of course, they're our sponsors, but they're not actually our sponsors, which is pretty funny. So they actually something quite interesting. It was an Italian holiday that day. The day it came out, the 2nd of June, 1970. It was Republic Day, which commemorates the birth of the Repubblica Italiana and the end of the monarchy.
Yeah,
so that's
one of the good ones, right?
It was in 1946, so it was like after World War II.
Cool. Good.
Cool.
Family.
What else happened?
Take all the kids out to while they're off school.
What happened this day? A French filmmaker died, Albert Lamorisse.
You know?
I didn't recognize any of his films, but apparently he invented Risk, the board game.
Ah, cool. That honestly sounds like a legacy. Was that?
Yeah, I don't know, but he's definitely described as like a filmmaker on his Wikipedia, but then it's like he also invented Risk, which seems like more of a thing.
Maybe
unless his films are actually famous and I just don't recognize them for some reason.
Maybe Risk just wasn't very popular when he died.
Maybe. So yeah, he died. Rest in peace.
Maybe Risk only got popular because he published it. So many theories.
Maybe he died and they started like a like special edition commemorating him of Risk, and that's the one that everyone bought.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Who knows? Okay, the music charts. Once again, I didn't recognize any of the American songs on it.
Cool.
Which is interesting. That's the second week in a row that I've not known any of them. So Spirit in the Sky is out of the UK ones.
Okay.
Can you guess what number one is?
Is it Four Lions?
No.
Lost the game the one day I got wise to it.
It is In the Summertime.
Oh, wait, by Mungo Jerry.
Summertime.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yeah, good.
Back Home by the England World Cup team is number 3 now. The World Cup started this week.
Huh. Maybe that's why people lost their enthusiasm. Did you know that Mungo Jerry never really made another hit song? So he just plays Summertime a lot now. With live appearances.
Really? I didn't know that, but I could probably.
Very big one.
I guess I knew it. I knew it based on the fact that I don't know any of his other songs. You know, like I don't know it, as in, yeah, I know it by omission or whatever. So yeah, the World Cup started, and then Time magazine was probably the most interesting one this week, as it often is. So there was an article entitled "Flags and Bras." Can you guess what that was about?
Was it about bras?
Well, yeah, but so it was about protesters, and it was saying that people that were supporting Vietnam were waving flags, and then it was jokingly saying that those that weren't were waving bras because they were going topless to oppose it. And apparently, flag sales were up, but bra sales were also up, despite people going braless. So that was interesting.
I don't think we're quite at that point yet, but just because we will run into it eventually. As a fun tidbit, did you know that the whole bra burning thing is just an urban legend and didn't really happen?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There you go, little pulp culture thing for you.
Well, clearly, because they were buying them just as much as people were buying flags. So there you go.
Well, I guess
I don't know what flags they were waving. Do you know? Was it like a special one, or probably just American ones, right?
Presumably, unless anarchy were really making bank.
It also featured an article about black peaceful protests being shut down by armed peacekeepers.
Oh wow, that's very topical.
Yeah, very topical, much like last week. Have you seen the John Boyega speech that I sent?
I haven't seen the whole speech. No, I saw quotes from it.
Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah,
pretty powerful
stuff. But just to be clear, it's not a fun coincidence that these things both came up this week and 50 years ago exactly. It's because they're omnipresent and never go away.
Yep, exactly. Good. So moving on. There was an article on the relationship between Israel and Egypt, and how it was deteriorating. And I actually watched a film about this the other week called The Angel.
Ooh, who was the angel?
He was a guy. He was this Egyptian guy that wanted peace between Israel and Egypt because he thought it would be more like conducive to improving relations in the area. But he did this thing where he was like a double agent. So he was working for the Egyptian government, but he was also working with Mossad. And the whole film was like based, and his whole concept was based on the Boy That Cried Wolf theory.
Okay.
So basically, he like gave them false information that Egypt was going to attack Israel, so they like got ready for it. And then it meant that the third time that he gave this information, they weren't ready for it because it was costing so much to mobilize. And the war that ended up happening was like very short, but it was like just enough to get peace in the region. So it was kind of like an interesting film because like Egypt and Israel have been at peace apparently since then. That was like 1970 something.
Isn't that nice to hear?
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. Yeah, and they only reveal right at the end of the film that he's using Boy That Cried Wolf. So like he reads a story to his kid earlier on in the film, and you don't even realize. And then you think that all the attacks are genuine. You think all the attacks are genuine, and he just doesn't know about it. And then, like right at the end, it's revealed that he was behind it all. It's cool. And apparently he's the only person that is a national hero in both Israel and Egypt.
So, very nice.
Pretty cool.
They do one of those like end credits things where they have that in a little text box next to a photo of the real guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He died. He fell allegedly off his balcony in London in like the 2000s. So I think there's a bit of controversy that he might have been killed by someone.
Of course.
But yeah, there you go.
Right.
So that was in time. I think that's all my historical context stuff.
All right. So shall we move on to talking about the piece du jour?
Sure, let's do it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, Hatchet for the Honeymoon. It's about a man, a very nice man,
That's
right. Named John Harrington. Am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So John is a very civilized boy. He's married unhappily. His wife won't divorce him.
Yeah.
And as a little hobby to while away the stresses in his life, he likes to murder brides to be. Like whenever he owns a modeling agency, and whenever one of the girls there is about to get married, he invites them up to a special room and makes them put on a wedding dress, and then he, butchers them with a meat cleaver.
Yeah.
It's not stab, would it be? It would be bludgeon, I guess. Bludgeon.
Okay, oh, that's a good film.
And then he kills them. And the whole film is about his killing as he tries to get closer and closer to this like traumatic memory that gets a bit clearer every time he kills someone. And then there's an inspector who's on his tail by the very subtle hint that 6 people who used to work for him have all died within the last couple of months or so. So using his incredible strategy of being patient and waiting for the killer to make a mistake, the inspector will catch him one day.
Exactly. Which is a very very classic. That whole relationship was a very like classic police criminal sort of film trope.
Also
thing.
an awful way to catch a serial killer, frankly.
Yes, definitely. But I mean,
I guess we don't care about spoiling twists on the show, so I'll just tell you the last woman turns out to be like a plant, which the police inspector's using. So he baits him into murdering her, and then he can catch him in the act, which is still an awful plan.
It's an awful plan because she could have got murdered. I don't even know how she didn't get murdered. Like she
was lucky. That's it. She was kind of prepared for it.
Yeah, she manages to block him, and then the only thing that stops him like continuing is that he remembers the memory finally.
Yeah. His traumatic memory is that he killed his own mother. Cool.
Yep. After she got married.
It's not that impactful, honestly.
No, but it's quite cool how it's teased.
I guess
it's like because it's immediately suggested you see him as a kid, and then it like gradually gets more clear as it goes. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I feel it's pretty clear from the beginning that either he killed his mum or his stepdad or dad killed his mum. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's clear pretty quickly that someone killed. But I genuinely found it quite shocking that he killed her. Although it almost left me with more questions than I
will say
with, because
the kid playing his younger self is very good at being a murderer. Surprisingly for a child, he's got a good scary face on him.
He does, but I was kind of because it doesn't explain why he kills his mum in the first place. Really, you know what I mean?
Oh, because he doesn't want her to remarry. But he said that.
Does he say it?
Yeah, at the end when he's being caught, he says, "I didn't want her to remarry." Those are his exact words.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Seems like today it's you who wasn't paying attention to the film.
I saw that in a Wikipedia plot synopsis, which is obviously the only thing I read. I didn't actually watch the film. I just read the plot synopsis on Wikipedia, as I always do.
Of course. Well,
good.
What I will say is that this is, I think, by far the best looking film we've done on this show so far. With no real competition whatsoever from anything else we've done, in that the shots actually look really nice and they're all very stylish.
For a second I thought you were making a joke about like the film quality, which is pretty awful. Like in terms of
I was
being serious.
Yeah,
it's nice. There's
directed well.
There's a lot of very nice like reflection shots.
Yeah, he has a very well polished meat cleaver. It has to be said. And,
and you see his face and like his victim's face and that, which is cool. My favorite one was the one where it's like the reflection on the table, and you can see him and the 2 inspectors like standing, and then right in the center of the table you can see the hand of his murdered wife like hanging down.
Yeah,
and then the blood starts dripping next to the inspectors. That was really cool.
Yeah, I really like everything about that. But just it's a very cool ticking clock, I thought.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
He murders his wife as well.
He does.
Who's dead there. and
she
then
she
he's
stays
haunted.
with him forever.
Yeah, she's haunted by visions of her as he slowly goes insane, which is
Yeah.
apparently a very recurring theme in Mario Bava's work.
Is it?
So yeah,
I would definitely like to, because apparently this is one of his worst films.
yeah, I was about to say it's a very good-looking film. I wouldn't rate the story that highly, but the main desire I came away from it was, if there are films that are better written, I would really like to see them because this one's really well shot, if nothing else.
Yeah, and apparently he sort of shoots his own stuff. Like he's the cinematographer as well as the director. So you'd imagine the other ones are pretty similarly nicely
pretty lit.
Pretty lit. So what was I about to say? I assume you know the story about the subplot of the wife, because you've probably also looked at the Wikipedia page.
So of course. So Laura Betty won an award just before this film, and so she wants to be in
the Volpe Cup. The Volpe Cup for Best Actress at Venice.
So she was put into this film with Dear Mario, and they had to write an entire subplot for her to be his wife because she wasn't in the original script. So we'll get to that in a second. But also, Dasmer Lassander, I think is her name, was playing the original leading lady, who was Helen Wood.
Yeah.
And she had been told, you're playing the leading part. You'll get, proper credit for this. And she was sleeping with the producer at the time. Yeah. So, she wasn't, not to make light of it, because it's obviously quite bad that was happening, but she certainly put in a lot of effort to get the part.
Oh, Jamie!
She sacrificed a lot.
You can't say that you're not going to make light of it and then make light of it.
Sorry, I was just trying to be, what's the word? Not healthy.
She put a lot of work in.
No. That's what, I mean, what? She sacrificed a lot. Is that that's probably the better way to say it,
Yeah,
right?
that would probably be the better way of saying it. I mean, you assume it doesn't say, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. She might have...
You're just going to let me keep talking.
She might have genuinely been the lover. But it's probably unlikely, unfortunately, at that time. I don't think it's our place to presume anything.
Cool. Great.
Cool. So yeah, Laura Betty contacted Bava, and she said that she didn't like working with intellectuals, which is, I would imagine, incredibly insulting to Bava. But he also apparently knew that he wasn't an intellectual and was quite happy to.
Yeah. Apparently, he had a very shy, self-deprecating demeanor, and that's why he was never a big success.
Right.
Opportunities to direct in Hollywood, and he always turned them down.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of good.
Sued the producer as well. That's just the last thing I was going to say. She ended up suing him and won.
Who? The
girl who played Helen Wood.
Right. Right.
Because she'd been lied to, basically.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, even though the subplot was added in retrospect, I thought it was easily the best part of the film.
I
the wife as a character. You
sound liked the wife as a character, but I feel like it went on far too long. Like by the fifth time that we saw him talking to her when she wasn't there, or saw someone. I feel like it was pretty clear what was going on. I don't really know how to describe it, but it just felt very they were trying to get as much of it in as possible without really changing anything. So she's haunting him, and everyone else can see her, and that was very nicely established.
Well, no, I don't think she's actually a ghost. I think he's just insane.
Right, but what I mean is, in his mind, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And there was a really nice bit where there's a reflection in the mirror, and she's in it, and then it zooms in on him, and then zooms back out, and she's not
in the dark. That's always cool.
And stuff like that. And there's there's about 3 situations where that happens, where it's very clearly established that everyone else can see her and he can't. And then I just felt like it kept going on, and it just put him in another situation where that happened, and another one, and then he gets her ashes in the bag so that he can remember that she's there, and then that goes on and on and on and on. And it just kind of felt, it did feel a bit forced. It felt like the purpose of the film was supposed to be the trauma of killing his mother was supposed to push him to do what he does, but it kind of felt like that was lost, because the wife as a ghost thing only comes in halfway through, and then suddenly the whole film's about that. And when you read that that's not the original intention, I kind of could see that, thinking about it, I could see that's not part of the plot originally.
I would emphatically disagree if you want a cool secondary opinion. I would say that like the overall film of the theme of the film is pretty clearly about like guilt and stuff and trauma. And I think the wife's the tragedy with the wife fits into that. He's haunted by the death, by his killing of his mother, and is in turn haunted by the killing of his wife in a sort of never-ending cycle. I would also say, on a more immediate level, that the scenes where his wife haunts him are all really cool, and I like having
what? Sorry,
the scenes where his wife haunting him are all very cool and fun. So
but
I like.
Did you not feel like there was too many of them? I agree that they were cool,
huh?
but it just felt like there were too many.
Not really.
All right.
No, I'd say no.
Okay.
The one where he like asks the lady for a threesome with him and his dead wife was particularly fun, and I'm happy to have any film hold up for that.
Well, that was a good one, but but my point is, it kept going after that. Like that could have been.
I think that was the main point of the film at that point. I'd say. I thought it was fine. To me, that was the main thrust of the story.
Okay, well, I personally felt it kind of took the film away from the a kind of realistic killer thing to a more supernatural vibe. Even though it does seem that the wife is supposed to just be in his head, it definitely felt a lot more supernatural. And I didn't get the impression in the first half of the film that it was at all supernatural. The film for me was supposed to be about a murderer that like murders real people and deals with the consequences in his head rather than like having a ghost. Even if she wasn't a ghost, it definitely
he's still dealing with it in his head. If you think
but
of
it
the film
definitely
as
felt
being
like
about,
if
you think of the film as being about like a man about the psyche of this one murderer, then I think it fits in very well because it's still about the same sort of symptoms that he's racking himself with.
It's kind of Fight Club, I guess. Now that
I've not seen Fight Club and refuse to.
Why? What?
People misunderstand because everyone who likes that film is awful, and I know it's not the point of the film.
I like the film.
But
are you calling me awful?
Well, yeah.
Why? Why am I awful?
Just it's like people who really like The Dark Knight. It's just you don't need them in your life.
I don't understand what you mean. Fight Club's awesome.
Because it's just like people who are like, oh yeah, Tyler Durden's so cool, man. I wish I was like him.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a really well-made film.
Yeah, whereas I know that the actual point of the film.
Stuff.
Yeah, I know the actual point of the film is that like toxic masculinity is bad, which is like important and cool, but no one gets that who watches it.
I get it.
Upsets me. Okay,
I get it, Jamie.
I'll believe you.
Okay.
I'm just saying as a general trend, in much the same way that
I don't think I've met anyone. I don't think I've met anyone that likes it for those reasons. But if I meet them, I'll let you know.
I envy you, my friend.
Yeah, clearly. I just obviously mix in better circles than you.
Really?
Clearly.
To be fair, there's people on the internet, not people I actually know. I do have some taste in people I associate with. But
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
I'm just trying to think what I should say. Helen Wood. What do you think of her as a character? Well,
the one that gets a new job?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a person.
Cool.
I don't know. I didn't feel particularly. I thought she was. I halfway through, I like got confused and thought it was a different girl that was talking to him.
It's very mean.
And stuff like that. So I don't feel like she was particularly distinctive. The wife is definitely the better character. I just feel like if they'd actually changed the film enough, like I feel like they either changed the film too much to focus on the wife, or they didn't change it enough to focus on the wife. I feel like it was one of the two. It was kind of in the middle.
I feel it's fine,
but I know that's.
I liked very much the scene where he and his wife ate breakfast and she yelled at him. All of those scenes are tip top, if you ask me.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything involving a man like murdering someone and being like all cool and like Patrick Bateman-y, and then his wife tells him that he's an idiot and he just has to accept it is very cool by me.
Yeah. Female empowerment and all that.
It's
interesting that you mentioned Patrick Bateman because I wrote down, like right at the start when he's got the internal monologue and he's in the mirror. I wrote down that it's very American Psycho kind of style, and I noticed one of the reviewers, like a modern reviewer, said the same thing.
Yeah,
that it's got very that vibes, but also I don't know how psychopathic he is necessarily because he's shown throughout to be very like nice to animals, isn't he? Which is that not?
Just the one dog, but I assume that was just part of like manipulating that one lady.
The parrot as well.
Oh yeah, but he feeds it a dead fly. Sorry, a
He
still
do,
living
he
fly.
yeah
So
he is a bit yeah. Well,
isn't
yeah, I
that?
guess to the fly he's not very nice, but it was kind of
He
yeah, I
says
don't
he's a
know.
he says he's a paranoiac in the beginning, which isn't
Right.
what like a tense of that word I'd heard before. But,
I can't say I'm massively aware of the
uh,
nuances of
to be
different
fair, whilst I
sort
did think
of
the haunting by wife stuff was very cool, I did not think it was perhaps the most accurate representation of mental illness out there.
no.
Um,
No.
I think he just has he just is a serial killer, and it's something to do with his brain, and that's what you got.
Yeah, I mean that was that's kind of my point with like the his mother getting murdered thing was it kind of suggests that he saw it happen and that made him a murderer, but then when you find out that he just did it, it's like that to me doesn't scream that that's the that can't be the traumatic event because something must have caused him to do that in the first place, you
Well,
know?
yeah, but like that's he says what causes him to do it, and it's the
Yeah,
guilt over that turns
but
him
it's
into a
something
killer.
very simple. As in my point is that throughout the film it's suggested that he's not naturally a murderer necessarily. What happened was something very traumatic happened that affected his brain and made him a murderer.
Mm.
But the fact that he just killed his mum because he didn't want her remarrying suggests that he was
Yeah,
always like that. And it kind of, for me, brings into question
I don't
to
think that's
what
his.
extent the it's that like I think he would just kill people anyway. The fact
I
that
don't,
he kills Bride specifically might be linked to that event, but it didn't sort of shout to me as a traumatic experience that would specifically have that effect.
nah, I don't get that. I feel that he wasn't a murderer before that night, as it were, and that was just like something that pushed him enough emotionally that he sort of uh, made the jump to that first kill, and since then he's become a serial killer. Like I don't think
Right.
the first kill clearly didn't come like as naturally to him as the others did. I think it's
Yeah, I
that
mean
sort
it's
of
definitely the start of something, but I'm just not sure to
yeah.
what extent like that was the only thing that could have started it. You know, I feel like
I don't think the moral of the film is like he was born this way. I think it's like he has unhealthy views about women and stuff,
yeah,
and that's sort of been manifested as this violent rage. Um, you
cool.
know,
I know.
they make fun of bridal purity a lot in this film. It's a very recurring motif.
Yes.
Uh, so I think that's what it's going for.
Cool.
If you ask me.
Cool. What else have I got here on my listy?
Want to know a
Oh,
fun
there was
fact
a
about
cool.
meat
There was
cleavers?
what?
You want to know a fun fact about meat cleavers that I found out
Yes.
during my research? Okay, do you know why meat cleavers have those holes in them?
No.
So butchers can hang them up, which I didn't know before, and I looked it
Oh,
up because it's a very nice meat cleaver he has, and they show it
it
a lot.
is.
So I began to wonder.
It is. So, um, this that doesn't really segue nicely into what I'm about to say, but I'm going to pretend it
Cool.
does. So he kills. So all the girls he kills are directly connected to him,
Ye-
and he kills them all in his own place.
Yes,
So it kind of baffles me how the police cannot find any evidence.
he's not a good police inspector, as I was
No,
saying.
but he's
Like,
not a good murderer either. Like
no,
he
they're
disposes of the
both.
bodies, sure, but there must be a lot of evidence.
I
Um,
think. I mean, he burns everything. It's like I'm willing to. Okay, maybe he didn't leave any evidence behind, and he was careful. I'm willing to believe that.
yeah.
But like at some point, I mean, I hate like critiquing films like this because it's stupid and
Yes,
wastes
it
my
is,
time.
but still, let's
But
do it.
you know, at the same time, you do feel like they could just watch him. Like you can
Yeah,
just get one police officer to watch. Like we all know he's. You clearly know he's the one who's doing it. You said so.
yeah.
So can't you
So
just get one random guy to just tail him, and then you'll see
yeah,
him chucking his wife's ashes out over the river and acting suspiciously,
exactly.
and then you got your man.
Because the I mean the relationship they have is kind of the one that you get when in a film there's a very good criminal that is
Yeah,
doing something like not murder, something that they can very easily
it's
cover
like a
up.
sort of charming master
Um,
thief, and then like the
exactly, a
detective
charming
is like
master
always one
thief, and
step
then
behind him. Yeah,
exactly, like Catch Me If You Can or something like that,
yeah.
where they know they're guilty. Or I'm trying to think of other things, but the relationship's that kind of thing. But then in reality, surely it'd be quite easy. I mean, what do you know to what extent you need a warrant? Um, like how much evidence do you need to get a warrant? Because presumably, if they just searched the room where he kills them all, they'd find the cleaver and
I mean, initially I
fingerprints
don't know.
and
I
blood
think
marks and stuff.
in the UK, yeah, and I think in the US as well, it has to be signed by a judge, and you need to make like a decent case. I think on the balance of probabilities that you'll find something there.
So,
if you want a hot tip, often they will get search warrants for something unrelated to the thing they're going to get you for. So, like, if they're looking for evidence of, say, I don't know, a murder, they might say, hey, we've got probable evidence that, he's using drugs. Can we get a search warrant to look in his house for drugs?
I've heard that.
And they'll like start looking in places that you couldn't possibly be storing drugs, like in a wardrobe or something, so they can find evidence of actual murder.
You can definitely store drugs in a wardrobe.
You can, but it would be very inconvenient and like.
I don't know. I mean, I'm
not going to say it's the opposite. That's true.
I'm not going to say that I've seen it done, Jamie, but
I think the example I was quoted in law school was like, they'll say like, we're looking for a missing person, we think they might be here, and then like we'll give you a search warrant, and then they'll like be looking around in like your kitchen drawers and like down the back of a desk and stuff to look for drugs rather.
So presumably, the fact that all the girls are connected to him would be enough to get a warrant.
Yes, I would be astonished if it wasn't. Yeah.
And yet they can't. Or either that, or they do have a warrant and they've searched it, and he just cleans up very well. But
it's just his strategy of getting one random woman to really tempt him into murdering, so that he can burst through the door at the last minute. It's so foolproof, Duncan.
But the thing is, he doesn't even want to murder that girl.
No, she has to work very hard.
She has to work very hard to get herself almost murdered. Yeah,
I suppose another slightly interesting thing about this film and like its presentation of women is that John's very much about like Helen, like oh, you're not like any other girl I've ever met, and it's like, oh, this is different with you, and he does genuinely fall in love with her.
Yeah.
And then like we see that the reason that she's different from every other girl he's ever met is because she's been lying to him the entire time in an insane way that no human being would ever act like.
Yep. Pretty much.
So yeah, that's another bit of critique that I think the film slides in there.
Good.
So as an actual thriller / horror film, did you find it particularly effective on delivering either the thrills or the scares?
No.
No, me neither.
Not really. I guess it definitely had thriller elements.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it for sure.
I liked it a lot. Obviously thrillers are much more loosely defined genre. Exactly. I suppose it's assumed from the title that it was a horror film, like straight out, and I was like, hey, this isn't that. And then I was like, okay, I guess it's also a thriller. But it's
definitely not a horror in the modern sense. But I feel like older horrors do tend to be more leaning towards thrillers. I feel like nowadays we're very used to jump scares and like ridiculous amount of tensions being built and all that stuff. Whereas this feels more like you're just watching stuff happening, and the thing that's sort of thrilling or scary is the severity of the stuff happening or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking. I think if I was to describe the way that I was personally sort of engaging with the film, I think it was almost entirely visual, I would say, for me. Like that was the only level at which I was really enjoying it. I think if it had been a less good looking film, I don't think I would have enjoyed it at all.
Yeah. So I mean, for me there were a couple of nice little bits. Like there's he murders the people that start on the train.
Oh yeah,
and then he puts the "Do Not Disturb" sign on, and that was like a little bit of humor.
He's a big caresser of doorknobs, you notice, and everything. Actually, he never touches anything normally. It's always like a gentle stroke.
Yeah. So like I like that the "Do Not Disturb" bit. That was funny. And then the other bit that made me laugh was he like burns the body, and then it cuts to them having breakfast. And the wife's like, toast. "Oh, don't you smell something burning?" And then it like pans down to reveal that they're at the table, and it's.
As I say, that was my favorite scene in the entire film. For
that was a good scene.
That among them.
Yeah.
The other good breakfast scene is the one where he murders his wife, and then to celebrate his newfound freedom, he gets breakfast in his jammies, which I liked.
Yes. Is that the one? Is that the one where the maid pours his wife a cup of tea?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're missing the jammies, Duncan. That's the real.
That was good.
Scene.
He's just a dude that wants to wear his pajamas. That's why he kills everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Society shuts him down, Jamie.
And the last woman steals his dressing down, and that's why he had to kill her. You're not reading the film correctly.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other cool bit was when there's like the scream on the TV. Like he enters. That was. Could you imagine like having to answer the door after murdering someone? Like you'd be shitting yourself.
No. Well, he was sweating on a cold night. But yeah.
He like murders her, and then the doorbell goes.
Just that film clearly stole that plot point from the superior classic Home Alone, and I can't forgive such plagiarism.
It was quite Home Alone-y, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good though. Pretty good stuff.
I think it was actually a real film as well. The audio was from. I think it was one of his earlier films.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Bit of trivia.
That's a nice little bit of trivia.
Anything else you want to say about this particular film? It's not got much to it.
It's not got much to it. The club that they go to looks pretty lit.
Oh yeah, they go to it twice, which is quite weird. It's very 70s though. I like it.
Yeah.
There's very wide trousers going on with the woman.
White trousers. There's like four people dancing, and they're like dancing crazy.
Very close to each other, ignoring everyone other than themselves.
Yeah, that was pretty good. There's a bit when he's in his like childhood room. Yeah. And it's this like huge, long, like palace room with all this like stuff in it, and then the woman's like, "Oh, we all had a room like this, when we were growing up. We were all in a room like this." And I was like, "What the fuck? Like who had a room like that growing up?"
Well, he's just talking about having like a childhood bedroom, right? Like we've all got a room filled with memories.
Yeah, but his is like
from the seminal classic piece of literature, Jeff Kinney's Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the movie. There's a passage where he says that a kid's bedroom becomes a museum of stuff that they were interested in growing up, and
that is
now
true.
that you said that, it reminds me of it.
I'm looking around mine at the moment, and that is true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Really the great poet laureate of our time.
What else is there?
We were talking to the inspector earlier. His little monologue, very thematically resonant one, is that he talks about how he struggles with catching this particular serial killer because he can't understand why he's doing it. He can understand any crime if it comes from a human impulse, but if it's not from that, then he's stumped, and that's why he's shit at his job.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess also part of it's just like mentally disturbed people are scary because you can't understand them. But then again, I guess the film kind of refutes that because it does tell you what his deal is. I suppose the inspector's the antagonist anyway, so ignore all of that.
Yeah. Would you say he's the antagonist? Do you feel like you support John?
Well,
Johnny Boy?
That's actually something I suppose is kind of interesting. Because obviously I realize I like different definitions of protagonist and antagonist. But you do. I think you are kind of supposed to like at least sympathize with him during the second half of the film when he's just being tormented by his wife, even though he doesn't deserve it clearly.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's never morally in the right in any scene throughout the entire film. But I suppose part of the reason the film left me a little emotionally cold is that like he is the point of view character, as it were, and you're never really, at least in the first half of the film, you're never really encouraged to empathize with him. And even in the second half, in the second half, you've seen everything he's done, and it's just more about just torturing a guy. But someone who very clearly deserves it, and by a character who I like a lot more, and also deserves to get one up on him.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why I wasn't quite as engaged with the journey.
Maybe.
But in fairness, I have said that a lot of films that we've done, so maybe I'm just horrible. I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm an unempathetic person. What do you think?
I agree. You're probably an unempathetic person.
Thank you. But regarding the film.
Oh. What do I think about how it engages you?
Yeah, did you find it particularly engaging?
I found it watchable. I wouldn't say
I really liked watching it, but again, that's just because it was a very pretty film and a very imaginative film.
It was. I feel like I feel like I would rather watch one of his other films for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But maybe it's good. It's always kind of interesting to watch like a bad film by a good director.
Exactly.
Because you can sort of like see how much their technical skill can like protect them. Use the word from like declining in quality. Yeah. Like just how solid their grasp of the fundamentals are. That's very, this is supposed to be one of his lesser films, and I came away from it thinking, "Wow, this guy's incredibly talented." That probably speaks pretty well for him.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this one doesn't even have a cult following. This is like literally like totally obscure because apparently a lot of his films are not necessarily like traditionally good films, but they have this following. Yeah. That you often get for these kind of films, but apparently this one just not at all.
Do you remember some of his more popular ones? I forgot to write them down.
No, they all had pretty generic names. As horrible as that is to say, like whatever.
But I want to look it up.
Let me look it up. Let's do this guy justice.
I'll keep talking. Some of Mario Bava's admirers and people who drew inspiration from him include John Carpenter, Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Quentin Tarantino, and Timothy Burton, if people are interested.
Nice.
I certainly felt quite a lot of Francis Ford Coppola, actually. That really reminded me of him, which is obviously a very good association to have.
Yeah.
And, obviously, John Carpenter, I think, the more horror-focused directors a bit, obviously, just about, like, thematic connection. I suspect it's the other films that they're really more inspired by.
Yeah.
But certainly, like, in terms of the style, it really did remind me of Coppola a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
And also kind of Kubrick, in a way. Although he wasn't listed as
he?
one of the admirers, so I guess it was kind of a coincidence.
Yeah,
just like the staging.
I guess. I would say good old Francis is more.
Yeah, Francis, like, particularly now that, like, they said, like, Francis had seen these films, I can definitely be like, yeah, these are similar, and I was right for noticing.
So,
but yeah.
Mario Bava, Black Sunday, Blood and Black Lace, Black Sabbath, like Sword Black, apparently.
Black Sabbath is a very famous name, if nothing else.
It's a band, Jamie.
I know, but, maybe they took their name from the film. Maybe that's an enduring legacy.
A Bay of Blood, The Evil Eye, Kill Baby Kill, The Whip and the Body, Lisa and the Devil, Rabid Dogs, Planet of the Vampires. So,
there's one called, like, I, Vampiro, right? And that's quite popular.
Well, it could be, and The Evil Eye, I guess, could be. I mean, these are the English titles, and as we've seen... Oh, there is one, yeah, I Vampire. I Vampiri. The Vampires in English, apparently. Yeah, so, I mean, there's... Oh, he did Hercules as well. I think he shot Italian Hercules. I think he shot that, if I remember correctly. Directed it.
He did 3 Hercules films, I think.
Yeah, So, pretty interesting. Oh, do you know Laura Betty voiced the devil in the Italian dub of The Exorcist?
I did not know that.
There you go.
Oh, interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Right.
Oh, man, what else have I got here? The seance looked pretty fun, didn't it?
Oh yeah, that was pretty. It was very well populated for a seance.
It was. I've got a seance story, Jamie.
Okay, do you want to share?
I do, but I don't know if it's actually a good story because I told it once and the people didn't react very well, so maybe it's not good. But
you can tell it to me, and then I'll tell you at the end if it's a good story.
Please
or not.
do. So I was working at the. The more I think about it, the more I think it's a bad story. I'm not even started yet. But I was working at the Fringe for the festival, and there was this show on called Seance, and it was this drag queen that does plays a seance. Someone that leads a seance, and they like take the audience through like a seance, and it's all very like flamboyant, very camp. It was quite good. It was quite entertaining. But obviously, I was very used to seeing this person in this like drag queen character, and then one time they start the show under a table, so like they're under the table and then they like jump out on the audience like fully in character or whatever. So at one time I was doing the show and I was standing up the back of it, and we were a bit late starting, so the technician was like, oh, we're a bit late starting, whatever, and then Seance started talking to me from under the table, in like just their normal voice, and it was like the most surreal experience for me because they were like, I was used to seeing them in like this like insane whatever thing, and then suddenly they were just like under the table, just like, oh, how's your day been or whatever.
Right.
Is that a good story? I feel like that's not a good story.
That was a 5 out of 10 story. If I knew what Seance sounded like normally, I would definitely rate it much higher. It's just that I don't have a template to go off of.
Yeah, I don't know if I told that very well. So like,
it's only really funny if you know what they look, if you've seen them before. I think is the issue.
I mean, obviously, when you think of a drag queen, like just imagine a drag queen and like the persona they put on, and then imagine them being in like full costume, full drag, and also being under a table, but like just talking to you in their normal, like gruff voice.
I don't think this is helping, but.
No, I don't. Oh man, should we do that? Should we do that as a new segment on the show? Duncan tells a bad story.
Sure, why not? You can go ahead.
Every week I'll think up something.
Every week you can think of an underwhelming anecdote.
We had the John Cleese one last week, which wasn't a great story, was it? That was just
I like that one actually.
directing John Cleese to the toilet. Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's got an
It's
interesting snapshot
better
of his
than
life.
Seance. Okay, the Seance one was. I had it written in my notes here. I was like, tell Seance story ? As in, should I tell it? It's never got a good response before, and I mean, the good thing about this is the only response that I got was yours. You know, I can believe in my head that the audience loved it and we're laughing.
Exactly. They'll never tell you otherwise.
Oh dear. Man, what else is there here? Oh, he tells. Am I right in thinking that he tells a joke about killing and raping a girl?
It's very weird.
Yeah.
That is like if there was ever like a point where you're like, okay, something's up with Helen Wood, then it is when he's like, yeah, I mutilated and raped your sister. Lol.
Yeah.
Funny
so who's her sister? Rosie.
Yeah, one of the models who died before.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the one on the train, but I don't know that for sure. But definitely one of the models who he'd killed previously.
Yeah. So okay, because
I think the implications that like the inspector's like, if you want to avenge your sister, then you should do this for me. And that's how he got her to agree.
Yeah. So I found that pretty weird that he made that joke. He was just like, I raped and killed her.
Like I say, I think a big takeaway is that Patrick's not a very healthy boy, and he doesn't relate to women very well.
Patrick?
Sorry, John. I got him confused with Patrick Bateman.
I got it again.
Which I guess is also the part of the moral of that film in a way. But,
that's a nice comparison. Man, that's a good film. I need to watch it again.
I've never seen it.
I've got the book. Have you not seen it? Oh man, you need to watch it. It's great.
It's on Netflix. I'll get to it one day.
Yeah, definitely give it a watch. That's American Psycho for those that don't know who Patrick Bateman is. I've got the book as well. I've not read it yet, but.
Oh, yeah, by Brett something else, right?
I don't know. Have I got it here to quickly look at?
I read it.
I can't read it. It's across the room. Brett, I think it says Brett Ellis. I think so. It's very
Brett
small,
Easton
right?
Ellis, I think.
It's across the room, but I can just see it. Yeah. Okay, so I think is that the whole film? I don't think. There's a bit where the inspector says to him that he must be a very lucky man, and then he looks at the woman and he's like, very lucky, which was a bit creepy.
Bit misogynistic, inspector.
Misogynistic, as many
so
films.
He's not lucky. You're just really quite shit at your job.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you want to hear what film we're doing next week? I've taken an executive decision from Monaco, and I've already
you can't
decided.
keep doing this. All right. What film are we maybe doing next week?
Next week we're going to do The Cheyenne Social Club, which is a 1970 American Western comedy film, which stars, can you guess?
No.
James Stewart and friend of the show Henry Fonda in his second appearance. The first
really?
actor in 2 films we've done. And it's about a cowboy who inherits a bar, and it turns out to be a brothel. It looks like it'll be a fun time, and also it's available for free on the internet. So that's the reason we're doing it.
Oh, James Stewart from Alfred
Vertigo
Hitchcock.
And other things.
Rear Window, and It's a Wonderful
Life.
Life.
A lot of films. So
It's a Wonderful Life. I was just watching a video that had a bit of that in it.
I don't like It's a Wonderful Life very much. I
don't either.
Do you want my big It's a Wonderful Life take is that too much of the film is spent establishing his life rather than actually doing the whole fun thing.
My Wonderful Life take is that it's not a wonderful life.
He has a pretty nice life. Like
no, but as in the film is not wonderful.
Oh right, yeah, fair.
Have you seen the Mrs. Brown's like Wonderful Life Christmas special?
Where, no, I've never watched an episode of Mrs. Brown, and much like Fight Club, I consider it an achievement.
I fucking love that. A lot of people like hate people that like it, but I find it very funny. But like all of Mammy Brown's friends convince her that she's like in It's a Wonderful Life, like she's in that world, and like it's really funny. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Oh yeah, my other This Wonderful Life take is that just because we were talking about us, so I misheard you and like talked about his life, is that in that film he seems to enjoy his life quite a lot until he has one bad day, which I feel it would be much more effective if he actually hated his life, like, you know, as a bit of a trend.
Yeah.
You know, just saying.
Yeah, I would say so. So as I was saying, I found a new YouTube channel today, Jamie.
Oh yeah.
Called Jake Tran.
Cool.
And he makes videos about how to make money illegally, essentially, or not legally, but immorally. So I watched one about how, like people make money from war.
Yeah.
He had one about how banks make money. He had one about the economics of the mafia.
Mm-hmm.
How to make money illegally as a politician without drawing attention to yourself.
Cool.
And they're all really interesting. And they use like footage from films that are relevant in the
Nice.
background. So it's like very like visually nice as well. And you can like sit there and be like, oh, I know that film. But it was pretty
Cool.
interesting. I just found out today. And what the banking one had its wonderful life in it. That's why I brought it up.
Ah, nice.
So shout out to. I mean, he's got 175,000 subscribers, and we have 5. So
yeah.
I don't really think he needs a shout out, but shout out anyway.
If we're doing recommendations, like last time we were talking about it, I realized I'd forgotten to mention Patrick H. Williams has a very good film YouTube channel that is also quite good, and I would recommend to you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
One for one.
Oh, I just had a can of Iron Brew, Jamie.
Cool.
Our other sponsors.
How's it feel? Oh yeah, of course.
Do you know what I found downstairs?
What?
An original recipe Iron Brew that we've kept from when they stopped. So
Cool.
maybe I'll do a taste test video on the channel of like a normal one and that one.
Genuine.
I don't know when it goes out of date. I imagine it goes out of date quite soon.
It's probably well past it now, but you can go
Probably
it again.
Actually, yeah.
Because it was during 2018, I think, that they changed the recipe.
I'll go have a look at it. I mean, I don't imagine it goes out of date, really.
Nah.
Maybe,
I think,
don't know.
I think it's not going to have a use by date.
No. Okay, so since we're talking about last week, Jamie, I watched a remake of
Out of Towners, right?
What's the film called? Out of Towners, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to agree mostly with your what you said.
Thank you. I am objectively correct about everything in the entire world.
Yeah. But I did also enjoy it a lot more in like as I would say it's pretty much as I expected, where like I didn't like it as much in terms of being realistic or being like clever or whatever, but I definitely enjoyed it more because I could just sit and relax and watch like a dumb film happening.
Yeah, it's certainly not. It's not one you really need to think about. Whereas
no, exactly.
Very, very.
Exactly. Did you watch Watermelon Man?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
It might still be. Do you get films for 7 days on Amazon?
Some of them.
Okay, I can't remember if it was.
I'll be honest. I'm not particularly intending to.
Why don't you want to watch it, Jamie?
I'd rather watch something good.
It is good, Jamie. In a bad way.
Continuing, my Ghibli marathon takes up all my time, Duncan.
Oh. Is that why you didn't watch this film till this afternoon?
No, that was because you gave me 2 days' notice and then told me at the last minute yesterday that I needed to go on Discord. So.
Well, Jamie, I didn't really want a repeat of recording at like midnight.
Yeah. But you know, not to be too self-congratulatory. I think this episode went okay. What do you think? Let's be meta. Let's talk about our own.
So I would rate this episode. Watch if it's on.
Yeah.
We've not rated.
We haven't rated the actual film.
Yeah, we've not rated the actual film.
I would actually go so far as to say buy it.
Whoa!
I really liked it.
This film?
I really that didn't come across too well in like the.
Yeah, you're talking about it as if you didn't like it.
But that's just because I didn't like the story very much. But like visually, it is genuinely interesting enough to me to justify the purchase. It's just that I lack the vocabulary to articulate those feelings, and for that I apologize.
Okay, well, I would rate it. I'll tell you what. I would rate it as watch it if it's on, but with the caveat of buy one of the director's other films.
Yeah, that's much more.
I wish I'd had time to watch one of the other ones so I could like specifically recommend one. But have a look at what's critically acclaimed or at what's like a seems to be a popular cult one of his, and I would buy one of those. Just give it a try because. Based on this one, it's very skilled and good. But I would say for this one, watch if it's on or if someone says to you. But I wouldn't spend your money on it.
Coolio, right?
You could grab if it's free. I guess you could. But I'm not gonna. I would rate it at 2. I'll watch if it's on.
Yeah. All right. Coolio, you got anything else to add, Buddo?
For the potty, don't have anything else to add.
Got anything to plug?
What I don't have anything to plug. What have you been up to? You been up to much?
I've almost finished with Dark Souls.
Nice.
So you can look forward to me demanding back my PS4 soon.
Well,
Final boss.
I finished the main campaign of Spider-Man PS4.
Oh, cool. Well, you've got like 24 hours or so to finish the DLC if you want to.
Well, Jamie, I've only just started the DLC, so don't worry, you'll get your PS4 one day.
What else is happening? Yeah, I've continued my Studio Ghibli marathon. So
Nice.
this week I watched Porco Rosso, which is a lovely film.
Nice.
Genuinely fantastic. If you're in the mood to watch one, I'd recommend it.
Not particularly, but...
Yeah, I know you're not into things that are fun or good. And yeah, that's sort of been my day
Cool.
or week.
Well, talking about that, I've been reading the third book. I've been reading the third book of Case Closed.
Oh yeah. You enjoying it? Well, which like mysteries are in that? I forget.
They're on the ship.
Okay.
Have you've not read it though, have you?
I've read a few volumes of it, and I've watched a few episodes of the anime.
Okay, cool.
So it's like about the very, very beginning. Then like I'm kind of okay. Although from what you're saying, I think you've already passed where I ended up.
Well, it's a third book. They're on a ship. I read the first two ages ago, and then I'm just reading this one. But I thought it's quite like obviously a very easy thing to read. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really it's for kids, right?
It's for everyone, I think. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but as in it's not like an adult one that's particularly advanced. I'm not saying it's for kids. As in like,
right, yeah. So it's not
like oh, I'm not going to read it because it's for kids. I just mean like it's the age, the sort of base age is, you know.
No, I think like the target market is like kids and office workers, like very specifically.
Right.
This is why I was trying to like hedge my bets there in terms of describing target demographic. But yeah, they're not like particularly complicated. None of the mysteries are that long, which I think is part of the reason why. They're mostly just one chapter. So.
Exactly. But it's pretty interesting. I've been playing Transport Fever 2 again.
Mm-hmm. How's it compared to Transport Fever 1?
Game. They're basically the same game. I honestly don't know what's changed between them. Like because I bought the second one, and then I played it, and I was like, fish fingers, please. Okay, my mom just came into my room and asked me if I wanted fish or fish fingers. So I'm having fish fingers tonight.
Very unprofessional, Duncan.
I'm such a lucky boy. I'm having fish fingers. I'm having chicken tendies tomorrow night as well. So that'll be good. What was I saying?
You were talking about Transport Fever 2.
Oh yeah. So I played the first one and I bought the second one, and I'm honestly, I don't know if there's a difference between the two games at all. There must be, surely. But like I really don't know what it is, because I'm pretty sure they're identical.
Giving them a very generous view there.
But I mean, if you've not played either of them, then just buy the second one and play it. I guess the campaign, like I don't play the campaigns, I just play the free games. I don't know what the difference is, but it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. Basically you like you're linking up like industries to towns. So it's like very simple. So a lot of games like that are pretty complex. You know what I mean? And like pretty challenging.
Your city skylines and stuff.
Like city skylines, exactly. Whereas this one is like very simple. You've got like an iron mine and a coal mine, and then there's a steel plant, and then there's like a goods factory that turns steel and something else into goods. And all you have to do is say like build a stop at the mines, build a stop at the steel, build a stop at the goods, and then build a stop in town, and then just like assign trucks to drive the stuff between them, and like try and roughly line up the numbers, and like that's the game. And then once you start to grow the cities, like people want to travel to other cities, so then you build public transport and all that kind of stuff. But it's like very simple, very chill. A lot of people complain about it because they're like, there's no challenge to it. But I kind of like that in a game sometimes. Like I definitely appreciate a game that challenges me, but it's also nice to just like sit back and like have like the very basic challenge of just like linking stuff up, you know.
Ruby and I guess like stuff like Animal Crossing as well. Though I guess those are life sims, not much pressure on them.
Yeah, exactly. Or something. Oh, the other game I've been playing a bunch is The Sims Medieval, which is from.
Is that an expansion of Sims 4? Or?
No, it's. I think it's like Sims. It's Sims 3 era, but it's not. It's not an expansion in any way. But I guess it's got the same base gameplay. basically you like create a kingdom, and you create the monarch, and then you can like choose what buildings you build in what order. And again, it's like very simple. There's only like 6 different heroes and buildings, and like it's not like you level them up. They just get placed down, and you can decorate the interior, but you can't really do much. But but the cool thing is it's like an RPG game, so you get quests. So like you place down 6 heroes, but then to actually play the game, you have to pick which quest you want to do and with which hero. And then you like complete the task throughout that quest, and you can also do like the extra stuff that you can normally do in The Sims. But it's cool because like the other Sims you create just go about their lives, and like I don't know, it's just it's a fun game.
Yeah, sounds neat enough.
And unfortunately, it got like kind of dumped by EA, as many things do.
That's the thing about all of these like live service games is that like eventually the company's just going to abandon them.
Exactly,
but it's where the good single player experience is forever.
Exactly. It's pretty stable. They added an expansion pack just before they abandoned it, which has like a few glitches in it and stuff, which are like never going to be fixed. But the overall game is because it's not like an online game. It doesn't really matter that they've abandoned it because they abandoned it after like creating it and patching it a bit. So it's pretty good. You know, the other one I used to play was The Sims 2 Castaway, which is
everyone owned a copy of that game. I don't know why.
Really?
I don't know why
Did you ever play it?
I played a bit of it.
Yeah, I found it really fun. I had it on the Wii.
Yeah. Maybe that's really why, just because it was on the Wii, everyone had it.
Yeah, it must be. But it was a fun game.
Wii
like,
plus recognizable brand is meant that everyone had
exactly.
Yeah.
But it was a fun one. It was kind of like The Sims, but obviously on a desert island. And the cool thing about that one was you created the people that were on your ship at the start, but then you had to find the people throughout. So like, let's say I made like you, me, and like 4 other people. I would start playing as me, and that was like all I'd have. And only once I progressed a certain bit through the game would I be able to find you, and then I'd be able to play as you and like move you into the camp, and then like, you know, we'd have to explore and like find other ones, which I found like a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I suppose the issue with like things like The Sims and stuff is that like in terms of like introducing obstacles to overcome, whereas I suppose when you like take away the setting and move it somewhere else, that becomes a lot easier to introduce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like so like the Castaway you have to survive, and the Medieval like you have the quest to do, whereas like the normal Sims is pretty open and is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you know what I really miss is like multiplayer Sims, because I think The Sims 2 was the only game that had it, and I played a bunch of that, and that was really fun. But for some reason that's just not a thing anymore. It was like because like you could sit with someone and like make a house together and whatever. It didn't work great. Like as a like actual game, it didn't work great. But just the like experience.
I think
was
like
fun.
local multiplayer for most things, but particularly for PC, has been very like phased out over the last couple of years.
For sure.
With the notable exception of Nintendo, which is nice.
But even Sims 3 didn't have it. Like Sims 2 is an old game. That was on PS2 that they had the multiplayer, and then they obviously just were like, this isn't worth it. But it was fun. It was fun to like coexist in that kind of universe where you could do anything.
Yeah.
But it was also very limited because I think you had to go to the same places all the time because it was split screen. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Well, I think that's
I've said my piece.
I've said my piece. I want to stop recording.
I'll probably talk about Dark Souls for a very long time because I have opinions on that, but I want to be finished with the package. So cool.
Right. So when you finish that, we'll do Dark Souls special.
Exactly, Dark Souls special and Xian Social Club.
You have it finished by next week.
I think so. I'm on the final boss right
That's
now.
Exciting.
So my PS3 is paused and running in the background because I'm not very eco-friendly.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we better end before I get another power cut and we lose all the footage. So apologies about the sound at the start on my end. It's gonna be pretty bad. I'll probably put like a disclaimer in for that. I might just get rid of it, and then this would all make perfect sense. I don't know.
I mean, okay, I've kept my recording as is, but regardless. Cool. Right. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye. Love you all.